Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Guile treatment in what is this?
A,
Year, 2 years?
a year and a half, I
Year and a
think.
half?
Yeah, definitely a year and a half.
Definitely a long year.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes, definitely.
So, I hope everyone's well.
Yep.
Uh, it's certainly been
A
well,
wild. Yeah.
it's been long, and
Yeah.
it definitely is unexpected.
Definitely.
Uh, I don't know what you've been up to, Chris. I have basically been quarantined at home for better part of what, 15 months.
My life did not change at all because I work in a service industry, so we worked.
Mhm.
I worked a second job at a retailer, so we worked, and then I basically still met up with people after I would say, like the first 6 months to 9 months, we didn't really do anything. And
Mhm.
then me and Trent started just hanging out playing cards because
I
we
got you.
both work in the public industry, and if we hadn't gotten it yet, and then then
I got you.
vaccinations and all that. So right
Yeah,
now
I mean,
everything's pretty much
similar. I was sort
yeah
of deemed like essential.
yeah
So I basically like right. The only really days of work that I missed were when I like took a vacation because I was losing my mind,
mm-hmm
or I did take off like a couple. I did get sick in
yeah
November last year,
okay
so I
yeah
missed like a couple weeks.
sure.
Don't recommend it. It is exhausting, but yeah, I mean, I guess with the vaccine rolling out and things looking to be under better control, things are starting to open back up.
mm-hmm
Um,
yeah,
People
Illinois.
will slowly be getting
Yeah.
out, seeing everybody again, and doing some stuff.
Yeah, Illinois opened up on the 11th, so they had a
Mhm.
full boat at Wrigley Field. So that's
Oh, see,
yeah.
now the Orioles are allowed to have full capacity crowds again, which
Oh,
means that 4,000 people show up because we're terrible.
yeah, yeah, very true. Yeah, yeah,
I think the only difference between is like you know maybe those 4,000 people are like sitting further apart than they would
yeah.
otherwise.
At least they're socially distanced properly. So that's it.
Yeah,
That's the positive thing. So I don't know. We're moving. Like me and Kim bought a new house, so I'll have an actual like cool room to like do this stuff
well,
in instead. Because as you can see, the backdrop is gone. The closet is empty. Yada yada yada. So we're moving at the end of the month. So, but with this kind of I want to shout out real quick. First, I want to ask a real important question before we get into what we're going to talk about. What
all
did
right.
you eat, Rob, today? What did you
What did
have?
I
Yeah,
eat?
what did you just eat? Because I need to know.
I just went and got some fried chicken.
Oh, wow. That sounds delicious. So I just want to know because I think that's going to be the new opener question for when we have a guest on.
What'd
Whatever. We're
you
going
eat today?
to. What'd you eat today? Because, another YouTuber guy I watch asks his buddies that question, and it leads into some really cool conversations. So I think it's just
Gotcha.
kind of fun. So
Yeah, I mean, I almost decided to just eat while we were because I did that like
all the time.
more than never on the old show.
Yeah, for sure.
She's like, oh yeah, hold on, let me just
Yeah.
drink. So,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
but
Yeah.
figured we'd start clean with this one.
Oh, boy. Yeah. And then I go throwing a curveball. So, but yeah, so I had Stephen Jones to thank for this. I'm not on Facebook anymore, so I don't get any of the blurbs or any of the news or anything. But
Yeah,
I'm on
it's tough,
Messenger,
dude. It's a happening place.
I
It's
guess.
all positivity. It's really just great,
Yes.
upstanding place. That is.
Oh, from what I heard, it's the best. He sent me a link of we'll see it later of a versus card that was like a fan art, a full art card, and then he sent me the link to this blog that I think it's Aaron Mead does it. He's in the Versus Collective.
Yeah,
They are
he
doing a
runs the first collective.
okay. So he is the Versus Collective for the most part. Um,
We are the
oh
versus collective.
we oh boy.
Yeah, it's collective.
Yeah, it is collective. So yes. They're
If you
re
ever played versus, you're part of the
there
collective.
you go. They're rebooting it in a way, and like a fan service type online digital using Octagon, a full set with new set releases. We'll get into that as we go through the article, but they I guess I'll go start at the beginning. I played Versus from its launch to basically Marvel Universe.
Okay.
I missed out on DC Legends and the next set because they were short printed, and I was
Mhm.
already on my way out of
Right.
playing that game, so I didn't really pick up any of that. Shucks to me because those cards are worth like,
Everybody missed out on DC Legends.
oh well, of course, if you, a box sold for like $3,000 or more. I don't even remember how much the one that was on eBay for. I don't know, but the game was still my favorite card game that I've ever played.
Hmm.
A lot has to do with the IPs because it's Marvel, DC, Hellboy,
Right.
the comic books, which is a big thing in my life. Mechanics were good too. It was created by a bunch of pro Magic players, or they got drafted into doing it, I believe. I'm not
Yeah.
exactly sure the whole story, but it does have some Magic esque feel to it.
Yeah, it was one of those games that was sort of like a, quasi like Magic clone that, I mean, you see a lot of them, but the basic idea was sort of like take some of the Magic mechanics and then try to eliminate some of the like downsides of like basically the biggest one was like mana screw
Mm-hmm.
was to get rid of that, which you see with like the resource row. Is just like any single card that you draw can be your resource for the turn.
Yep.
Like you don't have to worry about like, oh, I didn't draw any lands, I guess I'm gonna die. So
I can't play the game.
right.
Yeah.
But
Um, so from there, I did go to some PTQ, some Pro Tour qualifiers. They call them PTQs, and some Pro Circuit events. I won a couple PTQs. Never really did well at the Pro Circuit events. I guess you could say I was more of a good regional player, not a national player.
you
Um,
weren't part of Team Wisconsin?
no, I was not. No, I was just myself and two other people here in Rockford. We knew
Did
some.
you know any of those guys?
I knew Mike Giles from like the Wisconsin Milwaukee area. We played against some of the dudes from Chicago. I knew a few of those
Okay.
guys. I didn't like. We didn't really
It's been a
travel.
long time. I don't remember many
Yeah,
names.
we didn't travel outside of like the Midwest at all ever. We went to Gen Con and Indy and all that, and but that was pretty much it. Where they would go balls out at Indy, you had like a giant Batman and a Batmobile and a fucking huge Superman. When the PCs were in Indy, they were always DC modern or a DC.
Okay.
They were never Golden Age or whatever. It was just always Silver Age DC or modern DC. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
I
they
mean, to be fair, those were probably like the more balanced formats, when they were doing.
yeah,
So
oh for sure, yeah. Um, but yeah, and then I started picking it back up like after I got out of UFS, and then I started picking that game, picked up versus cards before the huge hobby explosion of 2020,
it's
where
good because, yeah, I mean, I'll talk about that in a minute.
yeah, that's just ridiculous. Like everything just shot up, and it's just overpriced city. I think the bubble's starting to pop a bit, just because you,
Sure.
at
Well,
least
because
like,
people are starting to have other stuff to do.
yeah, they're starting to have other stuff to do, so you're not like spending a bunch of money on hobby crap. So, yeah.
I don't know, man. Stimulus round four any day now.
Ah, okay, sure, whatever.
Nah, I'm still waiting on two and three.
Oh boy. But yeah, that's all I really gotta say about my time in versus. I don't know
Gotcha.
what you got.
So yeah, so I actually I played versus as well. I started, I think, right around when Marvel Knights came out. The local hobby shop near me, um, the owner and the manager, um, the two of them, I guess, like were. I mean, obviously, it's like sort of a comic game shop, so they were very interested in the game, and they were like pushing it pretty hard. And I know like a couple of my friends and I like we were never big Magic players. Like we weren't like I mean I had some Magic cards when I was younger, but like I never was like that serious about it. Never really like played it really in organized form. Um, and so like Versus came out. I think the first set was what like early 2004.
Yeah, I think so. It was 2004, 2005, I think,
So
maybe
I
2004.
was I think I was just finishing up. high school.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, right. And so it was sort of like I guess I didn't get in with the first couple sets, but so I was probably out of high school because I probably got in later, like either over the summer or in the
Hmm.
fall, or maybe early next year. Again, I don't
Yeah,
quite remember,
it was over 20
but
years ago.
yeah, but it was sort of one of those things where it's like I enjoyed card games. I'd messed with like L5R, like maybe not the original L5R, but like maybe like the Diamond Edition or whatever, like kind
Hmm.
of the in between. Um, and just some other stuff here and there. And so this was one where like I enjoyed the mechanics. We had a pretty good local play group just because the store was very interested in it, so that they were, there was always someone to play with. Like you could
Yeah.
play with one of the employees if you wanted to. Like they always had decks, or there was a group of like 4 or 5 people, like regulars that are almost always there.
Yeah.
Um, so that combined with the fact that like I was like out of school, had like disposable income, so like I didn't have to worry about like mom, dad, can you give me some cash? Like I could just go and buy my own stuff, like
Yeah.
whatever. Um, so I was able to get 3 or 4 friends into it as well, and a bunch of us just like played locally. I think none of us were that serious about it. We didn't do too much traveling. We mostly traveled for like release events.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might have done a couple PCQs. They didn't go very well. I remember playing a squad deck at an event where like 10 team won, and just going like 0-2 by, and I was like, yeah, this
Oh.
is just a waste of my time.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
just a
Yeah.
waste of my time.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so like we probably like we got in around Marvel Knights, and I really probably played up till I want to say like around Crisis or Legion,
Mm-hmm.
and then I transferred from my local school up to school in Rochester, and so like there wasn't a whole lot like I was hours away, like I didn't really know any players up there. Um, so I kind of like wasn't paying too much attention. When I finished up, I think that was right. It was right around either it had already died or it was
On
like
its way
about to
out.
die. Man, it's tough. It's like you said, it was so long ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
But but basically what happened is when I came back from school, I got back in touch with my one buddy who had basically consolidated like everyone's collections. So he just had them all in his basement. And so we sort of went through. We had a bunch of old decks. Um, we started picking up some stuff on like cool stuff. They were probably the premier versus singles thing for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Before they finally like
Kick the bucket.
stopped supporting it. I mean,
Yeah.
they stuck around for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was basically like them in Strike Zone.
Oh, I
And
remember Strike Zone. Yeah, I remember
yeah,
them.
right. And so like we picked up like a bunch of stuff. We just sort of like picked up some rares, picked up some whatever, just kind of fill in the collection of stuff we didn't have. Um, right? You'd find like some boxes on eBay of sets you didn't have a lot of or whatever, and so like we sort of like fleshed all that out, and I would say probably around 2000 like 11 2000 it was sometime between probably 2011 and 2014. Like we ran into some of the people we used to play with. They all still had that. I guess that's the biggest thing that I find with versus is like you run into people and they're like, I still have all my cards. I still have all my cards. Like
Yeah.
everyone seems to have
Yeah.
like really enjoyed it, and
Yeah.
then even if they stopped, like they never really like got rid of
Mm-hmm.
it. And so we had some like organized events kind of up and down like the East Coast, in like Virginia, Maryland, Jersey, Pennsylvania, like some of those. And I think we had like 4 or 5 events. New York, we had one there, and then it kind of actually what happened was Upper Deck announced that they
Oh,
were sort of like relaunching things,
yeah.
and that really put a damper on the interest, I guess.
Okay.
Not even necessarily the interest, but it was just sort of like a holding pattern because like the early information said that it was like going to be compatible,
Mm-hmm.
and then like obviously that's changed if you've seen any of the like versus like two-player card game or like what is it 2PCG or
Yeah,
something.
something like that.
Um, and I think that sort of drew a lot of the interest away for a
Mm-hmm.
while. Just because like especially like once that new game came out, that was sort of just that final nail of just like, oh, this is never ever coming back.
Yeah, for sure.
They had the opportunity. They sort of like made further tweaks to it, which wasn't like it's understandable. I mean, one of the real reasons why the original ended up like not catching on that well is that it's hard, and that it's complicated. So it's whatever. It's just not.
But
It's one of those games where
I think it was
the
complicated,
variance
but it was easy
is
enough to learn in the like basically it like the real deep rules were super complicated, but like on basis it was like it
it's
wasn't too bad.
true, but I guess sort of especially for like the casual players though, and I
Mm-hmm.
know this just like from like locals when we'd have like new players and stuff, is you have to have like a little bit of like a like thick skin because if you're new, you're gonna lose.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't get lucky and win, basically.
Yeah.
It's like if you have like and that's the other thing too is like you might not have very even decks, but like if you have two like even decks, like the better player is probably going to win at least 80% of the time,
Yep.
and maybe more. And so like if you are like sort of the like if you just come out, and so like some weekly, and you play like 15 games and you lose like 15 games, how many times are you going to do that? It's like, are you going to be that motivated to keep trying to like
Sure.
learn till like you start taking games off people, or are you just going to go, oh man, like this game sucks? So, um, I guess some of the things that are sort of like a draw for like some of the more hardcore competitive people, of just like you really feel like if you lost, it was like there was something you did wrong. Like you could sort of look at the game and be like, well, I should have done this, I should have done that. But also like if you don't know all that stuff, like it's gonna be a rough
Mm-hmm.
intro for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I guess fast forward a little bit with COVID. I mean, the market for like dead card games and I guess dead games in general
Mm-hmm.
just went nuts.
Yep.
Um, like there's a bunch of cards that like people haven't seen in ages. All of a sudden, are like available. Like the prices of everything are going through the roof. There was like one or two like new retailers who kind of like stepped in. The one might have actually bought all the old cool stuff stock, but so there are a couple new um online stores that are still sort of carrying verses. It's tough, but whatever. And I guess what we found, which sort of I guess leads us a bit to the project we want to talk about, is the more and more people that are like interested, but they're gonna find that like even if they have hundreds of dollars,
They're not going to be able to get everything.
like they're not gonna be able to necessarily find the cards they want
Yeah.
because so many of them are either in. I mean, some of them are probably gone. A bunch of them are going to be in collections of people that have like no intention of selling
Yep.
unless like it's just like a last resort, like they
Mm.
need to cover some sort of expenses or something.
Yeah.
But even then, like they might not even know about the some of the online markets.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and so like I know there's been a lot of encouragement of just proxying cards because who cares? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
there's no
Exactly.
organized events. It's not like you're gonna show up and have some like proxy and be like, whoa, like, you can't play with that. It's like there hasn't been a versus card printed in since like what, like 2008,
Yeah,
2009,
I think
something like
so.
that.
Yeah.
So right, it's been what 10 or 11 years, 12
Mm-hmm.
years. So
Yeah, for sure.
I think pretty much at this point everyone just like isn't likes having people that want to play.
Just want to play. Yeah, for sure. Which kind of leads us into what this is. The Versusism Collective guys basically made a base set, I guess. But I guess that's basically what it is. We'll go ahead and just scroll down a bit in the article. Yeah. Well, basically to start off, it's going to be a bunch of teams that we know and love. To start off with, like Gotham Knights. There's a mix. It's a mixture. It's not like a DC or a Marvel set. It's an actual like a combined remix set, basically.
Right.
Got Marvel, you got DC. There is some possibility for Hellboy to be in there because in the article they have something about some Hellboy cards in there. So it looks like the Essential Collection will be in there, and this is just going to be a straight reprint. They have done the set's going to be about 75% reprints, and cards that are reprinted that are broken or super powerful or kind of got toned a bit. They said they got kind of tweaked just to keep them on a decent power level. Probably looking at you, Superman 5 drop from DCL, Metropolis Marvel, probably.
It's not even like
I know.
so many that are
I know there's so many bad. There's even more worse cards, but
he was just rare, and
yeah,
he's Superman, so he's
yeah.
expensive.
And then there's going. You got like Avengers, Gotham Knights, X-Men. There's a real awesome card that they promised us that the X-Men have a tutor now for a character. It's going to be amazing.
They have a tutor right now. It's just, as long as the character costs 3 or less.
I mean, and they actually have another one. If you tap it sideways and reveal top 2 cards, you get 2 X-Men character cards. But
that's not a tutor. That's awful.
That's garbage. But yeah, there's going to be no unaffiliated cards. It says 10 teams, new content injections every quarter, and new IP content. So they're kind of doing what the idea that Upper Deck was going to do with like new teams was like the essential collections, like the off non-DC, non-Marvel stuff. So we could see like Spawn or Dark Horse characters or whatever. So
right,
which seems pretty cool. They are going to do. Let me see here. Just some. This was the first article is like basically the trailer, which we'll link to in the description box below, and just some some questions. Like it's not going to be in a physical. It's not going to be a physical card because technically they can't do it because the game is still copyrighted by Upper Deck, I believe. But so they don't want to get in trouble. But there is no course of action for people who send their cards over to make play cards over and overseas to get COVID cards. So, could be something if you're thinking about playing physical cards. Like I said, it's a true cut. It's a remix. Truly, Best Divines the project. It's 75 reprinted content and then 25% legend and gap filling cards.
Gotcha.
It is intermixed with the old stuff. So versus classic or original or whatever you want to say. It can be mixed, but it's really meant to be played for newer players by itself, just to get people into the game. And there's
the other thing too is like I know that that's something I've always found with like fan design, if you will, is even when you sort of like are trying to balance it or this and that, like it's always better if you just don't like, or if you mix it very, very little with like the existing card pool, just because like most of the time when it's designed, like they're not thinking about like, oh, you remember that like random 2-cost card from like that, Avengers or like. That like Underworld or like that Underworld like Legacy 2 drop that was like printed in like Marvel Team Up or whatever. And you're just like, oh, that's really broken with like this card that you just made. And it's sort of better to just play it like on its own. I think isn't this something similar to I think like Star Wars and like Netrunner and stuff? Haven't they had like really big like kind of fan projects?
I think so. I don't know offhand personally, but
okay.
I know that like Netrunner it has a bunch of fan stuff. I know that for a fact. And I think that's on tabletop gaming maybe or maybe on Octagon. I don't remember. But they do, as we scroll down some more in the article, they do talk about the X-Men coming back. Like I said, they're going to have more of a better tutor finally, and then they're going to stand like all teams are going to have kind of the same theme, and some fleshed out ones like previously. So we got X-Men, we got Brotherhood, Gotham Knights, and there's a really cool Gotham Knight card that they created that probably is fantastic for them. We got some Arkham inmates because everyone loves the bad guys.
Dude,
Okay, so
Arkham is definitely one of those things that, like, everybody always wanted to be good, and like they
yep.
just weren't.
Oh yeah, I think it's like them, and then like they had like one deck, but then the team up got banned. So because it discarded my
But that wasn't an Arkham.
yeah, sure. Okay. They did say that they are toning down the keywords. So no reservist. So Avengers totally got reworked to be more of the team attacking theme that they had, like because they had the leader and the reservist, and then they had the team attacking theme. So that's kind of cool. Masters of Evil is going to revolve around, I believe, the same Swarm theme, but then they're also going to have like a Loki theme kind of
I mean,
weaved in.
they need something. That's one of the worst teams they ever had. So,
Yeah, Masters of Evil by themselves. You think so?
have
Evil
you
with
ever tried to build a mono Masters of Evil deck?
Nah, I always played X Faces, so
There you go.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I get you.
Don't
Uh,
bother. I'll tell you
yeah,
that.
JLA because they're the quintessential DC heroes. Secret
Mhm.
Society, um, and they're gonna have some functional reprints like Mobilize will be reprinted, and I guess made because I guess whatever the card game and digital, so nothing's really printed. And then Catastrophic Failure. I don't even remember that card and what set that was in, but it kills equipment and you gain 2 endurance. I always played Meltdown, so
I was gonna say that sounds like Meltdown, or it sounds either that or like a Proud Zinco product.
oh okay, yeah. But yeah, so like that's the first article kind of just gave you an overview of what their goals were and what the teams were going to be. The newest article that just came out on the 11th, so that was just Friday, uh, actually posted some cards. Guy Carl Paralis. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Probably did. There he went to more depth about the Brotherhood type stuff, and we got to see the first, basically the Scarlet Witch from Marvel Origins. With all the cards have brand new art that I've seen. I don't think they've used any of the old art yet. I haven't seen any. We've only seen like a few cards on the trailer. We saw a bunch, and then in this. So with the rise of WandaVision and everyone loving Wanda Maximoff, why not make a legend set with her? So she got her normal 5-drop, and then she got you see a 5-cost legend plot twist called No More Mutants,
Okay.
which is play only if you control Scarlet Witch. Characters lose and cannot gain flight, powers, and keywords during the combat phase this turn. So basically, it's like a blanket only human,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of cool because you can only play it with Scarlet Witch, which means I don't know if the Avengers is going to have a Scarlet Witch, so you could put
Did it
this.
say characters or opposing characters?
It says it says characters, so
Okay. So
everybody
it's
loses.
yours and
Yeah,
yours.
it's
Okay.
everybody's. So, but this is supposed to be like in a Brotherhood deck. But if they do more legacy content and they have Scarlet Witch in like the Avengers, so you could plop this into an Avengers deck, would be fine. And then to keep going on, they have a new 1-drop for her. She's a 1/1 with range. When Scarlet Witch enters play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put 1 into your hand, and the rest at the bottom of your deck. So you get to
Okay.
replace her. So she's actually not that bad for Little Brotherhood, because that was one thing with Little Brotherhood that you always ran out of cards because you just threw down everybody and just beat face.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit like Rem Ram or I think maybe it was like Destiny that let you. There was one of them I think
I
that
think
let you pick
Destiny
the
from
top
Marvel.
four in like a Rio Region
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, I
I
think
don't know.
so.
It's been
I know,
a
like
long
Destiny.
time.
I think in one of it was either Marvel Origins or Marvel Legends had an effect similar to that. I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I don't know. And that's pretty much it. Just kind of just goes through the article about how he's hoping the Brotherhood also kind of gets away from like the Avalon, Lost City, Wombo Combo giant guy. They flesh out the other archetypes, non-reservist, I should say. So,
Right.
But yeah, there's in the art in the trailer. There's like a bunch of X-Men cards, which are pretty awesome. The one Gotham Knight card I'm very excited about. There's a new Barbara Gordon. She's a 3-drop. You pitch a Gotham Knight, you draw 2 cards. They do have the Fat Bat mechanic kind of weaving in and out, but looks like that. Looks like every team's gonna have some sort of like time to shine, which is cool because there were some teams that just kind of got left by the wayside. I should say because like towards the end of the game became more of a let's just mishmash a bunch of teams and break a bunch of shit. So because
I mean, I don't know if that was just the end. That was kind
I,
of like,
that's like the
you know,
entire
from
time. I know.
when they printed like Emily, from pretty much when they printed Enemy of My Enemy
Oh yeah, for sure.
until
Yeah.
the end of the game.
Well, I mean, like
Very much.
the Midnight Suns Wild Ride thing kind of did some stuff,
Hmm.
like I know wasn't that like Evil Medical School really abused that?
Yeah.
I think,
Hmm.
yeah. So, we have not seen any Doom cards yet, so
Terrible.
sad. Maybe he'll get a content injection because I know like in in the trailer at the end they show like some Suicide Squad cards, which they never were a team at all. It was Secret Six. That was
Hmm.
that, and then the Captain Cold for Secret Society has the Rogues tag.
Hmm.
So maybe we'll get a Rogues team, like we really should, because they really needed to. Yeah, it just seems. And then they had a Guardians of the Galaxy, which they were the
I
United
know
United Front.
when they were sort of talking about the like relaunch, but that was something that was right around when the first Guardians movie was doing
Mm,
great.
mm-hmm.
And I thought that if they wanted to sort of like test the waters or whatever, that would be one of the best things they could have done. Would have been to do sort of like a essential collection type thing for like Guardians of the Galaxy and I don't like Kree or something
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
and just to sort of like put that out and like it's not big, it's only about like 40 or 50 cards total
Mm-hmm.
to make up like the 2 decks. And yeah, I think that would have been like great. I think that the essential collection sort of like distribution setup. I mean, I guess it's a little bit like LCGs, right? It's pretty much just set decks.
Yep.
Um, I guess in that case you had to get theoretically, I think you had to get 4 of them because there were a couple cards that were like one of, but they weren't that important.
I think they
If you
were.
got 2, you pretty much had everything you needed.
I want to say that I
Um,
didn't think they have any one ofs. I think they only did. They just had 2 ofs in the deck.
Sadu Hem, like
Was
the
it one
unicorn,
of?
is definitely a one of,
Oh, he didn't
and
matter.
the 7-drop
Oh, that's right, Liz.
Liz is one of as
That's
well.
right. That's right. That's right. They weren't
But
that important to the decks, though.
yeah, right. But they were sort of like secondary characters,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah, um, yeah. I know also like the versus guys like there's been some projects like this before. I can't remember if there was like a redo of the Spider-Man set that was done. I know that there was like a complete overhaul of the Superman set. It was literally just called like DSM 2,
Oh
where
wow.
they
Okay.
just completely they took like every single card out of Superman and just like like tweaked it or like modified it because like that set was just so brutal.
Yep.
Um and yeah, I mean, and I guess originally there was something. They were called like council approved sets, where they really tried initially to have sort of some fan content that sort of could continue the game after the official support ended. And it never really caught on, and I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe just some of the renewed interest and just some of the distance as well. Um, in addition to the fact that this being sort of like digital, like a lot of people are more interested in like playing stuff online and whatever
Yeah.
now. That
Yep.
I guess we'll see again. We'll see if this can
Yep.
catch on a bit better than some of the previous attempts.
Well, I would think so, just because of the one, it's free, so
Hmm.
which is nice. All you have to do, Octagon's free, so all you have to do is learn how to download it, which is you can watch a
Right.
YouTube video or they have instructions to follow. From what I heard, they're gonna post stuff on this. Aaron's gonna post stuff on his blog whenever new content comes out or whatever. So all you have to do is go to here, hit the link, and you just download it.
Hmm.
Um, I guess like the only thing would be is how to learn how to play if you've never played before. So that would probably be the biggest
Right.
hurdle. So someone, I'm not saying myself, but someone would have to put out a video of how to play or find an updated rule book. I guess even maybe they'll have to write like an updated rule book. Just you can probably just rip it right off the old one and just change the things that you were, I'm pretty sure they're going to come up because I know they had their own keywords in those fan sets prior. So if they use any
Mhm.
of those, they might have to explain what they do.
Yeah, they
Um,
had some documentation every time
yeah.
they did a set.
So,
So
but yeah, it comes out June 26th this year, obviously. Not
just a couple
2023.
weeks.
Couple weeks. Yeah, on a Saturday even. So, you get all day to mess with it if you want. I know I've downloaded Octagon already on my laptop. I used to play Dragon Ball Z on it a long time ago. So I haven't played a card game on Octagon for a while, but they have the classic game on there and all the cards. So I was just building decks and just messing around. Um, but yeah, if yeah, I would be if you're interested. I don't know if I know people watch this channel for other things, but there was the retro series where we did do versus games, and that did get a lot of feed, a lot of hits, and people really like
Hmm.
that. So the people who don't know about this maybe will join on, and maybe will there's more of a would you say more of a not a market, but more of a voice on the internet now than there was back then, I guess. So
Hmm.
so maybe with content creators or whatever, because I know Aaron's doing that. He puts out videos on his channel, which will link in the description box, which will lead you to the trailer, which will lead you to all the cool stuff. So yeah, but
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
I know
excited.
that too. Like he's been running like events as well. That
Mm-hmm.
they've been playing online just for various different formats and stuff for the old game. So yeah, I mean, it'll be cool to see. Um, I know I always enjoy playing versus like whenever I get the opportunity. It's
Mm-hmm.
just right now I my entire dining room table is like literally just covered in versus cards right now. It's a disaster.
Oh wow! Like all my binders, since we're moving, are at my in-laws' house, and I'm just like very carefully setting stuff down, and I'm just like don't want anything to get lost because yeah, that I've sold my collection once before a long time ago, regretted it, and then I got everything back, and now I'm never probably they're gonna have to pry that stuff from my cold dead hands. That's all I'm going to say. You
There
know.
you go. Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
I know I'm gonna try to once I get more versed in the Octagon program. I may try to stream some games,
mhm.
just to just get stuff out there because I know I'm pretty excited because I know that if they do another preview thing, I do want to talk about it, and then when the set comes out, I do want to talk about all the newer cards and stuff they've changed. I guess just to see how different stuff is, and then look at the cards because they look. I know you're not a fan of the extent of the
No,
full art
it's
cards.
it's fine. I know the guy who made the template. His name's Crystal's
Okay.
down near Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
and he runs a different sort of a customs group, and that was sort of something. And I know, like originally, like I thought they were super cool. I always liked the old EA cards
Oh
that they
yes.
had, extended art. Um, and it was just something where um the more I sort of I guess like I like them as sort of like promos, but
Mm-hmm.
the more and more that I sort of like played some of like the newer games and stuff, just like the idea of like full art cards like just ends up like frustrating to me because like I think they're like a little bit hard to read.
Sometimes,
Um
yeah, I get that. Yeah.
and it's probably easier like digitally because there's almost always like something you can click where that just has the text box like to the side.
Mm-hmm.
Um but yeah, I mean they're definitely like pretty. It just ends up being something that I don't always know if like the full art is like the best like functional thing,
Sure,
but
I get that.
it's
Yeah.
definitely popular.
Yeah.
So
I mean, since it's the digital thing, they could go back in and put like a white text box around it or whatever, or
they could.
you
I
could,
mean,
whatever.
they have sort of a halo around the text. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not like
Yeah.
it's not terribly illegible or anything.
No.
Like it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yep.
But yeah, I've just seen so many of these sort of yeah, I think a lot of like the Japanese card, like the Dragon Ball Super and like
Yeah.
some of those other games, I mean, they always have all this like art all over the place.
Yeah, yeah, they're busy. Yes. Yeah, they're very. Hey, but most of the time they do have a text box though, so
Oh,
you can actually see where the text box is. So
all right.
that's okay. Sometimes they get a little wordy though on those cards, man. Tell you right now, it's like reading a novel. But yeah, so I guess we'll just I don't know, come to a close. I bet I guess. But yeah, thanks Rob for answering the
Yeah,
call. So and
it's been quite some time.
it has been. It's good to talk to you. We'll try to see if we. I don't know. It's not going to come out. We're not going to do like a weekly thing, but I do want to, when new content drops, at least talk about it,
I
and
got you.
then we'll try to do
Yeah, I
some,
mean,
you
I'm
know,
pretty available. I don't have a very busy schedule
busy schedule,
this time.
you know. And then I may reach out to Aaron and see if he wants to maybe come on and talk about it a bit. Maybe I'll wait till after it releases, just because just to
Yeah,
give
he's
it
quite busy.
probably busy and just trying to get it ready and stuff like that. So yeah, so we'll a couple things. We'll leave the description in the description box. We'll leave the link to the article, the link to Aaron's YouTube page. So go ahead and give him a like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Because if you like versus content, that would be the place to have it. That'd be the main place to get all your info, I would say, and his webpage. So
Hmm.
other than that, I got nothing else. And I guess everyone stay safe, wash your
I mean, I guess
hands.
the other thing
You
too
know.
for that
Oh sure, go
is,
ahead. I was
if
going
you
to
check
end
that
it.
stuff, you do like
Yeah.
it. You're also going to be able to find more info on the Facebook page. I know Chris mentioned it earlier. Is the Versus Collective is what it's called. Um, there are definitely it's like sometimes like there's definitely days that it sort of seems more like a buy and sell page.
Mm,
There's a lot of people sort of like looking for cards, selling cards, whatever. But if you come in, if you have questions about rules, if you have questions about how to play, anything like that, like there's you usually you can get a thread going where people are pretty helpful. So it's worth checking out.
definitely. For those not on Facebook, I guess you'd have to just message someone you know who plays. So
Ooh, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll have to figure that one out.
yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, like
That
there's always
that is
YouTube
so
videos.
there used to be message boards
Yeah.
on like Zeta boards that
Oh,
got rolled into like Tapatalk,
I got you.
but they
I
are
got it.
super dead.
There is a Versus Collective Discord group. So if you don't like
Okay,
Facebook, you can always go to the Discord group. That's where you can look for games to play on Octagon. People are talking about rulings. I don't think there's any buying, trading, or selling channels on there. So it's strictly for playing the game. So
that's good.
so it's pretty cool. So I know that there's a couple different avenues. So I just totally just dawned on me because I'm like, oh wait, that's how I got.
Yeah.
He invited me back to
I've
that.
missed
So
the message boards so much. Like Facebook ended up just killing them because
yeah.
everyone ended up moving over there.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all still up. You
Yeah.
can find it.
I think
If
I
you type
found
versus system
I want to
and
say
Tapatalk, huh?
I found some old deck lists of yours on there.
Oh yeah, they're
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, definitely.
so.
So anything else? You got anything
I
else
don't
to say?
have much, man.
Okay. So yeah, I guess we'll just end the episode. We're kind of rusty at this. The intro and the outro's pretty rusty. But anywho, everyone stay safe, wash your hands, wear your mask, get vaccinated, and all that fun stuff, so we can get back to playing cards again together. So
There you go.
that's what I want to do, because I want to host a versus event.
Thanks.
Huh?
Hug your grandmother, play
Yeah.
cards.
Play cards. Go to a baseball game. Play cards. We could do
Not any
both.
good.
No, I mean the White Sox are not bad, but anywho, no one's
Oh,
here.
they're pretty good.
No one's here to talk about that. So we'll talk to you guys all later.